Okay, so here we are live once again with another McFarlane DC Multiverse unboxing, and this is Starfire, a character that I've been looking forward to being in this line for a while. You know, they put out that wave of Teen Titans figures a while back, and I managed to get half of them so far. I still need to get Raven. I still need to get Speedy or Arsenal or whatever the hell they're calling Roy Harper in that line. And I still need to put together the rest of this gigantic Beast Boy figure. But I'd mentioned before when I was doing those particular unboxings that I really felt like they needed to do a Starfire figure very soon because, like, if you think about it, like even the hardcore comic book fans like myself, we got to admit that the most famous version of Teen Titans as far as the general public goes is not the comic book version. It's the version from the Teen Titans animated series, or even the goofy comedy version, Teen Titans Go, which honestly not really a fan of, not my type of comedy. If you like it, that's fine. But to me, it's just kind of like, I tried to watch the movie and I could not get into it. I'm sorry. But the original Teen Titans cartoon, I did really enjoy. And of course, the core members of the Teen Titans in that is Robin, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Raven, and Starfire. And of those characters, the only ones not featured in that particular wave was Cyborg and Starfire. Now, Cyborg, they'd already made at least a movie version of Cyborg. So it might not be your ideal comic book version, but at least it's a version of Cyborg. And then, you know, like it wasn't Robin in that wave, but it was Nightwing, it was Dick Grayson. I feel like it was close enough. So yeah, Starfire was definitely one that we needed to get. By the way, not the only thing that I've gotten recently, because yesterday when I got this, I also got the Penguin, so we'll be opening him up tomorrow. And in the mail today from eBay, I got a little something for my vintage Batman collection that I've been trying to rebuild. Oh man, this is one of those Grail figures for me. So this is a chrome version of Arnold as Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin. And I do think that this is probably the best figure of Mr. Freeze from that movie, just because he is all chrome and nice. All the joints are really tight, and it's like this is a figure that usually is pretty pricey to find on eBay. I've had a hard time finding him for like less than $20, and when I could find him for less than $20, it's usually because there's like huge chunks of chrome that have flaked off of this figure. But this figure just looks nearly flawless. There's like barely anywhere to the chrome at all. The only where I can see is like there's a little bit of a spot on his nose where like the blue paint that they had on his face is chipped away. So actually it's chrome on his nose. So a little bit of flanking on his nose, just a very little bit. And then on the soles of his feet, you see where there's that lip around the edge. There's some flaking on there, and who cares? You're not even going to see that when he's standing on the shelf anyway. But other than that, beautiful figure. I'm so happy with this. So like Batman and Robin was a goofy as hell movie, and I don't think anybody's going to disagree with me when I say that. Even its biggest fans will be like, well, yeah, well, it's supposed to be goofy. That's part of the fun. That's why I like it. It's because I like the goofiness. But you know, but even with it being like a goofy as hell movie, the action figures, for the most part, were really impressive. Like, oh, yeah, they had their weird Batman variants, and you know, I don't think any of the Poison Ivy or Batgirl figures hit the mark. But there's a lot of good Batman figures. There's a lot of good Robin figures. There's a lot of good Mr. Freeze figures, and probably the best Bane figure that we ever got out of the '90s. So anyway, a little bit of a segue there, but we'll get back to the matter at hand. Got a lovely piece of artwork on the back. The style kind of reminds me of Brian Stelfreeze, but I don't think it is Brian Stelfreeze. But Brian Stelfreeze, you know, being one of my favorite comic book artists, for me to look at your stuff and be like, hey, that reminds me of Brian Stelfreeze, like I can't get more complimentary than that, really. Like you know, there's a list of guys that if I say your stuff looks like Neil Adams, or I say your stuff looks like Bruce Timm, or I say your stuff looks like Joe Kubert, you know, If I say your stuff looks like Brian Stelfreeze, I'm giving you a hype compliment. So let's go ahead and open her up. By the way, this is figure number 11. We'll get a look at all the sides of the packaging. Really, the only thing worth noting, though, is the artwork on the back. And that will be the same artwork that we will see on the trading card. When we get that opened up, you can already kind of see it there, but we'll get a closer look at it in a second. Now, this costume is not the original Starfire costume. As noted on the side, this is Starfire from DC Rebirth. So this is a more modern Starfire costume, and it's a little more conservative than the costume I remember Starfire wearing when I first started reading comics when I was a kid. But it's still, like, to me, it captures enough of the flavor of the original Starfire costume that if they never do another Starfire figure, I'll be happy with this one. If they do a classic George Perez type Starfire, I'll be even happier. but I'll be happy with this one. All right, so let's go ahead and get the trading card and its stand out of here. Now, I've said many times that I feel like the collector edition figures are overpriced. I feel like they could be at least $5 cheaper. Like, I wouldn't mind paying $5 more from this figure, just like from what I've seen of it so far. But the $10 more they ask for it, I think, is a little steep. So I would ask Mcfarlane, if you're listening out there, just knock the price down by a couple of bucks. Just knock it down to 25. I think we'd all be good with 25, right? Right. You'd be happy with most of these collector edition figures for 25 bucks. Am I not right? You know, like I'll get into that in a second. I do feel like this is a slight cut above for reasons I'm going to get into, and one of which is this trading card stand. It's really neat. I don't know if it's $10 neat, but it's $5 neat. I'm just saying. And let's go ahead and we'll take the trading card out. And since this is a collector edition trading card, it does not have the border, just has the Mcfarlane Collector Edition logo down the side. That's what the back looks like. It does have a nice foil stamp over it, unlike the standard trading cards. So let's read the back. Starfire, DC Rebirth, data file, real name Coriander. It's spelled with an apostrophe, but you don't say coriander, like just Coriander. That's fine. As an alien princess in exile, Coriander of Tamaran escaped a lifetime of brutality as a slave and lab rat to the Citadel and the Scions. Years after manifesting incredible energy powers, she led a revolt and escaped to Earth, an engine of righteous fury. She fights to ensure no other beings, have to endure the pain and indignity that ruined her life. So Coriander, or Cori, as her friends call her for short, she comes from an alien race that is evolved from felines rather than primates like us ape people on Earth. She is a cat person, so she's one of the original cat girls, and I guess that's something Bruce and Dick have in common, is they both like cat girls. You know what I mean? But yeah, in the comic, I believe she was originally intended to have golden skin, and they interpret that as, you know, kind of that light orange kind of color. But like what happens a lot of times with comic book art, it winds up getting taken literally, and we can see that our version of Cori here does indeed have that light orange skin, but it does look like they put like a little bit of a metallic sheen onto it, almost like they were trying to split the difference, because they know, like, well, some people, if we make her like actually gold, some people will complain that she's supposed to be orange, and if we make her actually orange, some people are going to complain that she's actually supposed to be gold. So kind of try to split the difference a little bit, and hopefully we'll make everybody happy. And in my case, I'd say they did a good job with it. So there's one more accessory that we got to deal with here, and this is an accessory that makes me really happy and makes me say this is a figure that would be worth paying $25 for as opposed to just 20. Not quite 30, but 25 certainly. So let's go ahead. She has a flight stand. And you know what I say about action figures should always come with action figure stands. And you know what I say about like the Mcfarlane characters, at least, the flight figures should always come with flight stands. I know you guys have them. Just go ahead and toss one of those in there. It's going to be worth it. So Corey does have her flight stand, so she can fly. So that's nice. We can get her in some good flying poses, I'm sure. So let's go ahead and put that together. And if you don't want to use it as a flight stand, it does still have a peg on there, so you can use it as just a standard action figure stand if you choose. But the stand part of it, the little pole slides in just like that. Clicks in. There we go. Now we got a flight stand. Okay, set that aside for now. And the other two accessories she comes with are these translucent green blast pieces to represent her firepower, I guess I should say. Last but not least, we got Starfire herself. So let's go ahead and get her out of the package and cut through these rubber tabs. The loathsome rubber tabs. And her hair's so long they couldn't actually fit it into the plastic tray, so it's got like a hole in the back that her hair sticks through. So I gotta be real careful about pulling it through. Thankfully, the only rubber tabs were around like the bigger rubber tabs that were around there, so didn't have too much to cut there. And there she is, and she's got like usually you think of Starfire as having the long curly hair. I know you kids that grew up with the Teen Titans cartoon aren't used to her having curly hair, but that's in animation. They had to simplify it. In the comics, she's almost always had curly hair, sometimes curlier than others. Like it's definitely like in little ringlets in the original appearances. Like perms were big in the 80s. Apparently perms are big in James Gunn's Metropolis, because have you seen the Clark Kent, like where he's got this freaking looks like he skinned a sheep and has it stuck on its head. He looks like a TikToker with the broccoli haircut, like straight bussin', no cap, FR, like one of those guys. So, oh man, that movie. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about that Superman costume. He's got like a biker jumpsuit, and he's got like red trunks over a baggy jumpsuit. He looks like a kid in pajamas. I had Superman pajamas when I was a kid, and they look like that. Oh, whew. James Gunn thinking he can make a Superman movie. Okay, let's get back to the action figure. I promise I'm not going to talk about it anymore in this episode. I promise. All right. So they did a really nice job with their hair, and like I said, it's got lots of little curls and ringlets and everything going on. Really cool. They got like two tones to it, where you can see at the top of her head, it starts out as kind of like a magenta color. And, that's often how they color her hair in the comics these days, where it's like this magenta that kind of fades into an orange color. Now, when I was a kid, hey there, MHD, how we doing today? All right. How's everything over in Poland? So, yeah. Maybe I'll go over there one day. Maybe I'll take the world tour and visit a bunch of these countries. Oh, I was having lots of, maybe too much fun. So when I was a kid, the coloring techniques were not quite as advanced in comics. And usually they just colored her hair kind of like this auburn, sort of reddish brown color. And when she would fly, like the trail behind her would still be that color. But with, you can see now, how they color it, you can see how like her hair would actually kind of fade into the fiery sort of color, and I like that. She's got like that really long hair. She's always been a character that's been depicted as having like really long hair, and this is no exception. They probably made it a little shorter than it's often depicted in the comics, but that's fine. I think for an action figure, this is long enough. The colors are really good, nice, vibrant, deep purple for most of it, with kind of like a pale lavender acting as an accent. And of course, she's got the green gem in her collar there. And like I said, this is to me a good sort of iconic Starfire costume. It's not the original costume, but it still, I think, captures enough of the flavor that that it works. It still is very recognizable as the character. It still works on a classic level. And hey, since I happen to have them handy, we can see what she looks like next to Nightwing, and I think they both look pretty darn good together. It's funny how these are like from two completely different eras. This is a '90s Nightwing, and this is like a 2020s kind of Starfire, but they still work together. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Now, like, even though this isn't the classic costume, it still has a very classic feel to it, even with all these modern flourishes. Too warm for, yeah, it's hot as hell over here. Like, I don't know what you know about the geography of the United States, but I would be in like the southeastern portion of it. I'm in the state of Georgia, and it always is hot and humid over here during the summer. It's not as humid as it can be, but it's definitely hot. It's roasting. And when I drive somewhere, I don't have AC in my truck, so I got to roll down the window every time and pray I'm able to not have to stop for too many red lights, because I got to keep a breeze going in there to be comfortable at all. So yeah, and she is a really good looking action figure. Pretty happy with how this one turned out. I've been bragging on her a little bit. So, but yeah, she looks good with Nightwing, and to me, like, those two should look good together. So I don't have the more modern one handy, but he'd probably look good with her too. So I do think that, and granted, this is kind of the generic body they use for a lot of these Mcfarlane figures. I do think that she should be taller than him, though. Like, that should probably be about the height difference there. She's supposed to be a really tall girl, and Dick Grayson is supposed to, like, I think, like, average height, like maybe like 5'10". I mean, he's an acrobat, so he's not going to be like an incredibly tall guy. But yeah, he'd be like, I'm about 5'10", so it's not exactly short, but it ain't exactly tall either. It's average. It's right in between. So anyway, they got the nice bright green eyes in there, and those are done. I don't know if that'll come across on the camera. Maybe it'll come. Let me try to get it to focus a little better. But it's got like a nice metallic sheen to it. She's got a good, kind of stern but still neutral enough expression on her face. I'm liking that. All right, so let's talk about the articulation. Reminds me, I wanted the Starfire Funko Pop. Wonder how many of those they've done so far. Like, what versions? I figure they've at least done the animated version. Probably have done the original costume. So, but yeah, like, well, might have even done this one, since this is, I believe, her current costume. So anyway, let's have a look. So she can't look up too far, because again, she's got this long hair. It's going to encumber it a little bit. That's about as far up as she can look. She can look down about that far, which is good, because she's got a flight stand, so we can have her in kind of a hovering pose, looking down at everybody. So that's cool. The head does turn from side to side, and it actually does go all the way around. The hair actually does not impede that too much, since it does kind of flow backwards from the head. She can tilt her head kind of quizzically from side to side. Pretty good range of motion, considering how she's got this gigantic hank of hair hanging down her back. So likewise, the arms rotate all the way around, although, it might bump into the hair depending on how you got the hair posed. She does have the butterfly joints, but they don't look like they're going to do too much good. But she can move her arms in about that far and move her arms back about that far. So she can raise her arms up about that far, so she can get into kind of a cruciform. But they don't go much further than that. But that's about typical for Mcfarlane. There is a bicep cut, and that's very cleverly hidden by her elbow-length gloves. So the biceps do rotate all the way around. Got the double-jointed elbows. So we got a great range of articulation at the elbows. So there we go. She does have the cool Mcfarlane wrist joints, so you can move those wrists around like whichever way you want. It's on kind of a ball joint. It's like a disguised light lavender sort of color. Little metallic on that, honestly. A little more metallic, I think, than even the paint is. That they did the Funko Pop of this costume? Okay. That's cool then. So I would imagine they probably have the original costume too. They tend to be kind of thorough about the various versions of characters they have in Funko Pops. I have like a few Funko Pops, not a whole lot, but I have the Adam West version of Batman, because of course I would have the Adam West version of Batman. And my good friend Eric Michael Black, shout out to him if he happens to see this. He had gifted me with an all black version of Batman. It wasn't the Keaton Batman; it was the comic book Batman in all black. That one was really cool. I have the Fourth Doctor from Doctor Who, the Tom Baker one. I have the Grant Gustin version of the Flash. I have the CW version of Deathstroke, and I have Wonder Woman, but I forget which version of Wonder Woman it is. They're all packed away in storage, right? I don't have a whole lot of them, but those are the ones I have. So if I'm only going to have one Funko Pop, it's going to be Adam West Batman. That just seems the most appropriate for me. All right, so we're going to leave off with articulation on this gal. All right, so she's got the cool Mcfarlane torso articulation, so you can move her around whichever way at the torso, twist her into all kinds of interesting and dynamic positions. Ooh, that's a cool one. I just made that by accident. She can kick up about that far. She does have the rubber trunk piece, so that does kind of hinder it somewhat, but honestly, like, you wouldn't want her to kick up like too much further than that anyway. That's a good range of motion on that kick. I would be happy with this on a Yvonne Craig Batgirl. That's what a good range of motion that is there. No thigh cut, although they could have easily hidden a thigh cut here. And it looks like to me like these are two separate pieces of plastic. I can even see a little bit of glue in between, I think. So they probably could have done that. I don't know. It might be painted. It might not. I can't tell, but I'm thinking it's two separate pieces of plastic. She got the double joint knees, so her knees kick up about that far. Very nice range of motion on the knees. Going down to her feet, she's got like some crazy stiletto heels. These are like Catwoman-worthy stiletto heels. I wonder if they reused any of these parts from Catwoman. I still have that Catwoman figure I need to open, the Jim Ballant one. I'll probably try to do that sometime in the near future because I want to see if any of these parts match up with Catwoman. That would be an interesting thing to check. I bet they do. I bet there's some parts in common with her and Catwoman. All right, so the ankle can point down about that far and point up about that far. And you want to have good range of motion on this character since you're going to put her on a flight stand. Probably. I'm going to put her on a flight stand. And that's going to look cool. And of course, since it's on the cool Mcfarlane ball joint, you can move that around any which way you want to. Get really any kind of pose out of that ankle you want. Very cool. And let's get a look at her with her accessories. And she does come with two of these blast effects. So we can plug one over each fist. And now she's ready for battle. Let's put her on the flight stand to complete the effect. All right. There we go. Going into action with Nightwing. Very cool. So I'm really happy with this figure. She turned out really nice. I got a lot of good things to say about this figure and very few criticisms. And most of the criticisms I have are just kind of nitpicks, you know, and like armchair quarterbacking. Certain things were like, yeah, maybe they could have done this better in hindsight. Now, that having been said, I would still really like to see a classic George Perez type of Starfire in the original costume. I think that would be really cool. But even if they never made that one, I think I'd be satisfied having this to represent Starfire in my collection. I think it's a really good figure. I might be old school, but I'm not like, you know, that dead set on everything. Like there's some of the newer costumes that I like, and this would be one of them. So yeah, really happy with how this one turned out. I've got the other figure from this assortment, the Penguin. I'll be opening him tomorrow. I did not get Captain Boomerang yet. Maybe I'll get him sometime in the future. Who knows? But I don't have him yet. But I do have Starfire. I do have Penguin. I'll probably try to open that Catwoman figure sometime this week. Now that I'm thinking about that, uh, I've got another Masterverse figure coming up, so I've got a lot of cool stuff coming up for the channel. I've been kind of lazy with the videos lately. Like I didn't do one Monday or Tuesday, but I did one yesterday and I did one today. So and today's what, Thursday? It's Thursday, right? I'm not going crazy. Yeah, it's Thursday. So I'll do another one tomorrow because I'll do Penguins. So at least we'll have 3 of them this week. Let's get another shot of the Mr. Freeze because he's just so cool. Oh, that Mr. Freeze figure. So, all right, but that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you all for watching. I definitely appreciate you out there in the audience and your feedback and everything like that. It's always cool to hear from people. So it's always good to hear that people are enjoying the show. So thanks for watching. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you like and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Starfire, both this figure and the character in general. I'm pretty thirsty, so I'm going to go drink myself a glass of mustard. We will talk to you next time. Bye.